Being recorded.
We ready? All right. Well, good morning. This is the meeting of the EFC Governance Committee. It is Thursday, May 22nd at 11:30 a.m. Could we have a roll call, please?
Certainly. Chair DeMarchi.
Present.
Director Corcoran.
Here.
And Director Zarowski.
I'm here.
Director Krasansky is absent, but you have a quorum of the committee.
Thank you so much. We are officially called to order. As always, we have a very large agenda for our annual governance meeting. Our first action is to approve the draft minutes from the May 23rd, 2024 Governance Committee meeting. We do have a quorum to approve it, and Member Krasansky is not able to vote anyway, and he is not here. So could I have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion, comments? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Okay, our minutes are approved. All right, now we're going to move into review of many documents that we review annually. And the first one is our bylaws. There are no proposed changes to the bylaws, but I do think it's always important to just have a look through them and just kind of see. In section 1, the corporation, I just have a question. You might not know this, but you know, it says in there that the functions set forth in New York State Environmental Facilities Corporation Act. What was the date on that? Does anyone know?
On the act itself?
Yeah, I was just curious, like when I was going through it last night, I was like, what was that?
1970.
70.
Yeah. I was
Look
just,
at our resolution. Here, look at our resolution.
it's not like extremely relevant. I just was like, oh, I wonder when that was. So just a quick question.
Got you on that.
Yeah, so just of interest. I do think it is worth looking at Article 2 for Board of Directors, Section 1. It lays out the 4 independent members as well as DEC, DOH, and Secretary of State representatives. Just a quick walkthrough. Again, going through Article 3, all of our employees, officers, identification is in there. There's definitions of everyone in a very old font. I wonder what the date of that font is. Goes back to 1970. Probably doesn't even exist anymore. Continues with our meetings. I love section 9 that says resolutions to be written in plain language, super helpful. Article 5, talking about our committees, which of course we're in one right now. And compliance with the open law. So just, you know, just flipping through because it is our obligation to look at them annually. And that is it. Could I have a motion to recommend the bylaws as written to the full board?
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to recommend the as written to the full board.
Have a second?
Second to that.
Okay, I apologize. I actually went right into discussion on that. So
Yes.
further discussion?
Well, only have we, no, there's no major changes. I know, be right from we looked through. I guess the question is there anything we're tracking or thinking about going forward, even if this year we're not ready to make a suggestion on changes or the staff's?
Sure.
Any percolating issues, I guess would be the question.
There's not percolating issues, but prior to the meeting, we were talking about revisiting this document through the summer and maybe winter before next year's meeting, kind of looking at some language that is older.
Right.
Getting it up to date and reflective. We did start this a number of years ago, and then more pressing matters occurred. And so it's not that anything in there is wrong or incorrect. It just could be compliant with making things more
Right.
easily read.
I was gonna say, maybe, I don't know if this is part of, but you know, if there's a conversation with council about current practices or best practices, just so we're all up on the latest, you know, even if there's no fire right now, it would seem like, you know, a good practice just to make sure we're all up to speed.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Yeah, we did read through it. Like I said, there's nothing that isn't true. It just could be updated.
Understood.
Yeah, so we were just talking about that earlier.
Chair.
Good idea.
The New York State Environmental Facilities Corporation Act was added through the laws of 1967, chapter 722, and was amended to the laws of 1970, chapter 744, section 1.
Did you get all that?
Very cool.
I think 67 was when we were established as the Pure Waters Authority and then reconstituted as EFC in 70.
You know, I just love the history of it. So that's why I was just wondering, I'm like, I wonder how far that goes back. We'll add it to the new document. So we all know the history as we read. Thank you so much for that. Yeah, it was just a curiosity on that. Okay, hearing no further, is there any further discussion? Hearing none? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Wonderful. Okay, so we shall keep our bylaws in place for another year. Our second document is our governance committee charter. Again, there are no changes. Could I have a motion to recommend the re-adoption of the governance committee charter by the full board?
Yeah, so moved.
Take turns.
Second.
Exactly, we'll alternate.
There's like 12 motions in this
Assume it,
meeting.
assume it, yeah, exactly.
Okay, great. Discussion. I think it's always important to just go through the documents as we should. It goes through our purpose. I think I always read our purpose every year. I think it still stands. You know, I love the part about enhancing public confidence in the corporation. I just want to say how in our discussion prior to this meeting and at every meeting that I hear about all your outreach, there is so much public confidence in this organization. And that's reflected over and over again from all of your outreaches. So I just wanted to mention that. On page 2, we have, and page 3, we have 15 responsibilities, authorities and responsibilities. A majority of these are the documents we're reviewing in this meeting. So many of them are just reflective of that, and all these documents are provided annually. Hopefully you have a chance to flip through them and look at them. I just want to point out today, I'm going to just hit on number 9. The governance committee shall review annually the corporation's mission statement and develop performance measures to assist the corporation in determining how well it is carrying out its mission. That is our last agenda item, but always my favorite one. And I just want to say that's like EFC's report card. So it is important to read it. Is there any further discussion on any of our committee authority and responsibilities? Okay, hearing none. All in favor of the recommendation to the full board that the governance committee charter remain in place as is? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, beautiful. All right, thank you. Okay, our next agenda item is review of the documents pursuant to the committee's authority and responsibility, all the ones that we just saw listed. Many of them haven't changed. Some have changed. Just get to my agenda. Sorry, hold on. We are going to start with the procurement and policies and procedures document. We do have a proposed amendment associated with that. And Maureen, you're going to present. Oh, first of all, could I have a motion to recommend the approval of the procurement contract guidelines as amended, which will be presented at the full board upon presentation of ID number 1.
So moved.
Yeah. Second.
Just flip them for each just take turn.
The name goes back and forth.
Okay, wonderful. And there is a proposed amendments. So Maureen, would you lead us through that?
Sure. Nothing really substantively changed this year from what you've seen year after year. A couple things to note. Where you do see the red line changes, we changed the order of the purchasing priority. The previous ones were combined, and that's more in line with the state guidelines. We moved some definitions to align with that list. And then we changed in section 6, we changed the subcontractor language to align more with the New York's code rules and regulations guidance versus what it says currently, because that language allows, it's basically if the subcontractor amount exceeds $100,000, they have to complete a vendor responsibility questionnaire. This just takes that dollar amount out because the code rules and regulations sets forth OSC's guidance as what we would follow. So if that number changes, we don't have to capture it every year. It's just saying that we're going to follow the code rules and regulations as set forth by OSC. Then we updated some language throughout to make it a little bit more modern. And I believe that's the majority of those changes, nothing substantive.
Have you had any other difficulties with the policy and procedures?
No,
No.
no, pretty smooth.
Yeah, it's been
State.
good. I really like this upstate, the pre-qualification questionnaire. It was interesting to look through, as well as in ID1, you can see the list of all of our vendors procured. So that's interesting as well. All right, is there any further discussion or questions regarding the procurement contract guidelines? Okay. Hearing none, all in favor of the recommendation to the full board to approve the modifications?
Aye.
Aye. All right, excellent, excellent. Okay, next we move into the fundamental policies and procedures. Now, although on your agenda, it looks like a sub-bullet, it's really this long. So I do just want to just list them out. We do have one, the Code of Ethical Conduct, that does have a proposed amendment in it. I'm going to call for that motion in a second. But I just want to call for the overall motion. Oh, there's no motion for this one.
No, this is a committee function to review.
It's just the
Yeah.
function to review. I just, okay, that's, yeah, I did have a note. So these are all of the documents. I'm not gonna review them all, but I'm just gonna name them. We have the Code of Ethical Conduct, which we are gonna talk about that proposed change in a minute. We have the Family and Medical Leave Act, the Federal Drug-Free Workplace Act, outside governance of outside activities, policy and procedures on procurement and lobbying, time and attendance and compensation of executive staff of the corporation, the whistleblower protection, and workplace violence. So I did just have a comment on one of them. What's that? So I'm going to assume that everyone has had a chance to look through them. If you have any questions on them, that is quite the documents. Are there any issues with any of these that we've had?
No.
I didn't think so. We've changed a lot of the language over the years, and they've become clearer and updated over time.
The one thing I would mention here is that in the past, we've done a separate document just to explain the time and attendance of executive staff of the corporation. We've since removed that because all employees follow the same rules regardless of their title or grade.
Oh, that's good. So clearer for everybody.
Yeah, so everybody follows the
So we've
same
done the
time
same.
attendance manual.
Okay, so with that, Henrik, will you talk about?
Yeah, just about the Code of Ethics. There are two changes. One is because JCOPE is no longer an entity, the Code of Ethics now reflects the new entity. It's the Commission on Ethics and Lobbying in Government, also known as COLEG. And the Code of Ethics also reflects Governor Kathy Hochul's Executive Order 10, which we've been following all along. It doesn't matter what level at EFC you are getting ethics training, and all new employees receive ethics training. So those are the two changes.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
And we just all finished and then I did notice that there are some other documents. I noticed that the policy on participation in outside activities also had that name change made. So you did follow through the other documents and get an acronym HOLIG?
Say it again.
HOLIG,
HOLIG.
yeah. I think I'm saying it right.
I said to you, I'm like, I just think it sounds like an acronym.
Yet again.
But I did notice in a couple of the other documents as I was reviewing them, you did make that change periodically through, which is great as well.
Thank you.
Okay, is there any other comment or discussion or questions on this large body of documents that we review every year?
Not from me, Madam Chair.
Okay,
They
good.
look the same as the last time.
Except for the acronym.
Yes, well, that's not our doing, yes.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Okay, there is no motion with that one. So we will move into our next section, which is the qualifications of appointed board members. There are no changes on this as well. But I do like to always point out the 8 qualifications that we have. And also pointing out that it isn't that each individual necessarily has, in-depth engineering experience, but as a group of us, I was, always contemplate that, we do have these covered, and it is important to think about our group of 4 people and what our expertise is and how we can contribute to what is needed for our review. So I always just like to point that out. And that is no changes on that. And then we move into our board performance evaluation. And in accordance with ABO policy 10-05 from October 26, 2010, the ABO consulted with the Committee on Open Government, which advised us that a board discussion of its performance would constitute a matter made confidential by state law, that therefore could be conducted in private. So may I have a motion to enter executive session?
My turn, right? So moved.
Second.
Any
No,
discussion?
we should go.
We can
obviously.
just right into, yeah. Thank
So
you.
moved. Yeah, so approved.
My brain just automatically follows that process. Okay, welcome back to the general session. We have taken no formal action in executive session, including but not limited to the appropriation of public monies, so we shall continue on our agenda. Next is the defense and indemnification provision covering officers and employees of public entities. The charter requires that we review it, so that is in your documents. You've all taken a look. We're just flipping through the pages, so you know you've reviewed it. And now I would like to call for a motion to recommend approval to the full board of the policies and other required documents developed in connection with the governance committee's authority and responsibility that we did just go through. I have that motion. Lost track.
So moved.
So moved.
Any further discussion on our annual review of all the documents? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. We shall make that recommendation to the full board. Now we go to the favorite part, which is our annual review of the corporation's mission statement and performance goals. I'd like to make a motion to recommend the re-adoption of the mission statement and performance goals by the full board.
I will second your motion, Madam Chair.
Thank you. And we will enter discussion. Before I turn it over to you, Maureen, I'm just going to go with reading the mission out loud again. Is that okay?
Yes, we'd be disappointed.
I know. Everyone can read it with me. Feel free if you have it in front of you. So the mission of the Environmental Facilities Corporation is to assist communities throughout New York State to undertake critical water quality infrastructure projects by providing access to low-cost capital, grants, and expert technical assistance. A primary goal is to ensure that these projects remain affordable while safeguarding essential water resources. We support this mission by consistently using an innovative approach to developing and advancing new financing strategies to maximize the funding that can be made available to our clients, aiding compliance with federal and state requirements, and promoting green infrastructure practices. I'm just going to say that the people at EFC live this mission every day. Every time I talk with you or ask a question, you're in this mission. So I just want to applaud you for living the mission every day and how accurate those words are and what you do.
And I want to say for all of the EFC staff do. It's they all recognize what an impact they have on New York residents, and that their job means something. So
it does mean something.
important.
Everyone's job in the organization
It does.
is amazingly important.
everybody has a role in what we accomplish. So we've got the performance measurements report, and hopefully everybody read it. And I could pull out a couple of things, but looking at the list of performance goals, I thought I would give just an example from the last year of things that we've done to meet the goal. So the first goal, implement creative financial solutions for recipients with diverse demographic profiles to address water quality and public health needs. And I think a really good example of this is the state-led infrastructure forgiveness and transformation grants that the governor announced, providing $100 million in grants to 12 communities statewide to replace lead service lines. So the lead money that came under the Investment Infrastructure and Jobs Act had a portion of that capitalization grant has to be given out in loan. So how we address that at the state level is that the community initially has to take out a loan, and then we pay that loan off with the state grant. So in the long term, they have no debt for doing the lead service replacement project. So, thinking outside of the box, how could we do this? Because we think these projects, they're so important, and the communities that they impact, usually, poor communities. So we wanted them to be free. And so we did that. And one thing I was going to mention I'll mention it now instead of the board meeting, is that the first community to get underway with the LIFT grant and have shovels on the ground and close on an agreement was the city of Albany on a $12.9 million project that's going to replace 2,500 service lines throughout the city. And there was a $9 million federal grant, $3.9 million in interest refinancing, and we will, when the project's complete, we will pay off the 3.9 in financing, and they will have no long-term debt on that project. So I think that's just a way that in New York State, we've been talking about a lot lately, that EFC likes to get to yes. And so, we think, and with DOH, and we work and try to figure out a way to do projects and to help people get their And, the governor, one of her priorities, she has an affordability agenda, right? Looking at cost of food, childcare, and everything across the state. And infrastructure is so expensive, and that's what we do here, is try to make it affordable for our communities. So it's an important mission. So,
Well, to that point, if I
yeah, of course.
Yeah, the data collection initiative. I mean, right there, I just underlined, impact of EFC funded projects on user costs. So I broke in on that because I love this data collection initiative and always open to just asking and hearing more about it because, data-driven decision-making is what you do all the time. Right.
We've been a few years collecting that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's difficult. People kind of collect it differently or report it or,
How to sort that and make it
but we have been asking
query
for it
database, but
on project listing forms.
Yeah.
And,
it's a tough one,
hope
but
to
it's.
have it in engineering reports, but yeah, so
The
we're.
bigger the data set, the more useful it is, right?
Right.
We're building that data set out. We're using it in different ways to analyze the affordability, as Maureen said. That's one of our goals.
Yeah, that stuck out, and I thought it was worth just mentioning that it's not an easy task to do, but how important in the long run all of that data will be. Because sometimes we probably won't even know trends until we see them.
Second goal, deliver distinctive value through technical and programmatic expertise in various aspects of all finance projects. This one really is just what we do every day. In every division, everybody who talks to folks, everybody in the back office, Williams folks, operations and administrative folks who write our checks out to people and then people who talk to communities. So engage, number 3, engage.
Wait, can I stop at
Or-
number 2?
yeah.
Sorry.
No, that's good.
Comments I wanted. The Mount Vernon,
Mhm.
it was reduced sewer backups in the city by 90%. Oh my
Mhm.
God.
Yeah.
It just makes your mind think about how bad it was, right? And so
They
I
were-
just wanted to comment, that's really good stat improvement.
They were pretty much 24/7. All they did was respond to
I just-
emergencies. So and I think we did speak about it maybe last board meeting about going down and celebrating with Mount Vernon.
Yeah,
Just the
We
success
did.
we've had over the last 3 years. And it was really just a great event. A lot of community members there and just really hopeful. And so we'll be there for a while. A lot of work still to do, but a lot of progress has been made. So
and one more on that item 2, right? You can't just breeze by the project impact dashboard.
you stole my thunder on this.
Oh,
Okay, I know. It is.
So what happened?
Sure. No, that's been, right, we rolled that out in June,
Yeah,
so just about a year ago, but in this last fiscal year. Part of the governor's transparency initiative, and we announced it in, February, and then, it's been up there and a lot of people using it.
Yeah,
And
it's
it's
cool.
something it's good we can point to when folks want to know the work we do. So. Okay, so 3, engage communities to maximize use of EFC funding to protect the environment and public health. And there's not a better example of that than our community assistance teams, which were started in 2023. And the amount of outreach and meetings they have with communities across the state. And I know there's a group we did since starting in 2023. We've had participation of 1,135 local government representatives and residents that we've reached. 222 one-on-one consultations with 174 communities. And folks that we've worked with, the CATS teams have worked with, we've awarded $591 million in low-cost financing, $63 million in grants to those communities that we've worked with. And last year we did 50 outreach events, 12 open Q&A sessions, 20 webinars on specific topics. So we just keep building on what we're doing and the coordination with other state agencies to really just get the word out. We've now got a CATS Chats newsletter that goes out and talks about what's happened and, what's coming up. We did a e-blast to about 10,000 people with everything that's coming up in May and all the webinars. And I think there's 3 this week, Tuesday, Wednesday, today, on different topics and like Lunch and Learn that are getting a lot of participation. So that participation continues to grow, and it's just fantastic. I can say it. We used to do that in technical assistance, but then the governor actually mentioned community assistance teams, and we've gotten other agencies involved, and it's just been.
I love the teams because it is we need all the disciplines, we need everyone on board. When I was reading through item 3, I just wrote that, and I said it earlier, of how outreach and communication has really become part of this organization's culture. You can say transparency, but no, it's like, no, you're living, you really have, and I know it's a different bullet, but again, having staff go out and see projects and, really, I was just saying that, you really are in touch with the issues that you're financing by actually seeing them, touching them, talking to the people. It really entwines you into the culture. So I just wanted to commend everybody on that work, because it's not easy to communicate effectively or to go out all the time and talk to people when, you have your work at your job at the desk every day that you have to crank out. But to get all the different disciplines out there is super important.
Yeah. Well, on site visits, staff loves going out and seeing what we do and taking the time when they can. I think the folks at the project too like to see, I know they do, they like to see the interest of not just the person that's going and making sure they're following the rules, but other people from EFC or DOH if they're going to.
Well, they're making financial investment, whether it's a grant or not, it's still an investment.
And they're excited that we're excited, and they like to show off their project, which is nice. We're also very pushy. Anytime there's an event that we think we could go and be helpful at, we're pushy. If there's not a speaking role for us, or we can't be on a panel, then it's like, give us a table so we can put out our hand and let everybody know that we're here. So we participate in anything we can. Last week, we were up in the Adirondacks for their APA planning summit, they called it. We participated in a round table.
Did it snow?
It did not. It rained, and it was chill. It was chilly, but it was good. We had a round table with Acting Commissioner Lepton and Secretary Mosley, and it was really good. Sat around with a bunch of leaders from Adirondack towns, villages, and then we had a table up there and just walking around and speaking to people. It was really nice because we've worked really hard because those communities are unique.
Yeah, they are unique up there. Yeah, I'd love to hear more about that. Maybe I'll call and chat about that a little bit.
Yeah, so it was a very nice event. I ended up staying over after the round table, speaking to people at the reception, and the next day just talking to folks. It was really nice to hear that they recognize what we've tried to do for them. I'll mention that here with the enhanced WIA grant, which we've done, which provides a 50% grant instead of 25% of smaller communities, 3,500 population and under.
Yeah, I underlined that.
Yes. So the first round was last year, and there were 67 eligible applications and 32 awards to folks that got the 50% grant for a total of $126.7 million in grants to those smaller communities. And we also changed the scoring a little bit to allow folks who are doing a good job, not having a consent order, that they can get points for doing a good job and maintaining their systems, and before it gets to a consent order. So, so they appreciated that we did it. Didn't impact as many folks, I think, up in the North Country as we had hoped, because that's kind of what started the initiative, but they recognized that, we made those changes, and hopefully we'll get some more people in next time. 4, provide funding assistance to improve water quality and mitigate the effects of climate change through green infrastructure, energy efficiency, water efficiency, and environmental innovation. So this is certainly our GIGP, Green Innovation Grant Program that we've had for a number of years. And that several years ago, we started doing it water efficiency and energy efficiency again. And those are a lot of our projects we get are water efficiency, energy efficiency. And also the green resiliency grants that we started last year with $60 million. We're out right now with an open application.
Yes.
Open application. It was the GIGP that closed for another $60 million in GRG grants this year. So Mike, green infrastructure, we continue to support it. And then enhance, have anything for that?
Yeah, no, the asset management program.
That's great.
I just wrote down in my, I'm like, that is just so smart. I'll just say.
Yeah, that's been
So
many
smart to
years in
do.
the making with DEC.
Yep.
Yep. And some year, hopefully, will require it of folks for a speedies permit and,
Well, because when you put something in, it's not the end of
you
it,
know,
right? So, I mean, it has a life
right.
expectancy. What's the O&M plan? Are they following through? Well, I'm sure they are, but you know what I mean, like that.
Living document.
Some of them, you know,
And it also cues into, you're gonna enter this in number 5, the succession planning, but also planning in general in this organism.
Mhm.
So much planning, the planning grants that, that's in
Mhm.
this one, right? Yeah. The planning grants that we do, I remember when we started that, and then it was like 5 years before you started seeing the
Yeah.
projects come in, and now it's just this pipeline. I think the asset management program is also gonna
Yes.
provide you a pipeline.
Yeah.
It just started, I can see, but it's gonna be a
well, it's,
pipeline.
yeah, we first had a pilot
Yeah.
first, and then this is bigger because now it's got 10 engineers involved, like a lead engineer and other engineers. So going out and getting more people trained in helping communities with asset management plans. And it also, the regulatory changes we talked about a couple times, give points for having an asset management plan because it's so important. We want to encourage folks to plan.
But we have to be like business, right? Municipalities are businesses and we have to have an asset
Yeah.
management plan.
And we're investing as a state, it's so many dollars in these communities. So we don't want that infrastructure to, they build this thing and then they don't maintain it.
That's what I'm getting at is,
It's so important.
Anyway, so smart. I love that.
And number 5, enhance organizational resiliency by embedding strong internal processes and quality review in our corporate strategies. So we did hire a full-time internal control officer who's fantastic. Don't get Maureen talking about him or she just goes out and on, but he is great. And just bringing, kind of fresh blood and a new look at everybody's processes. So he's great. And IT staffing, really making sure we have continue to have a robust IT staff and continue to enhance our capabilities on the IT side with cybersecurity and firewalls and all that stuff and succession planning. Some of us are not getting any younger. So they'll be in the next 2, 3 to 5 years, we'll have a lot of retirements, et cetera. So we're looking at that and planning on that.
And a good perpetuation plan and succession could be a lot easier because you have now a really great culture internally. And you don't want to be hiring to inefficiencies, right?
Right.
You're hiring to efficiencies now and growth and new plans and not, just inefficiencies with your internal controls. And I just love that. And so do people. They don't want to work inefficiently.
So there are a couple things I highlighted through the performance measurements report, but I think you hit, I hit a bunch with the goals, and then I think you did as well. So I won't go through that unless anybody's got any questions, but wanted to talk, we're going to have the program metrics.
Yeah.
It's called project metric, but the program metrics report, which is, the last year little document that's got how many lines of pipe how many miles of pipe. And
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, so that'll be at the next
I
meeting.
think I asked for that
You did?
years ago. I'm like,
You did?
just know how many
I know.
linear feet of pipe we put in.
Yeah.
It's just a fun stat.
Yeah, so we'll be presenting that next month.
Well, thank you so much.
Sure.
Thank you so much. Is there any other discussion regarding this year's performance and the meeting of our 5 goals for EFC? Pretty good, right? They speak for themselves. All right, okay. So with that, I just want to one more time thank, on behalf of the board, our gratitude for all that you're doing, that you do every day, that we don't get to see except for, our questions and inquiry, and then all the presentation materials, which are so in-depth. When you read them, sometimes I read through them like, wow, a lot of work went in to just preparing project descriptions, and I really appreciate them, even, at every single level. And everything that you're doing. So on behalf of the board, we are extremely grateful to all the work that you do every day. And the mission is so important. I just wanted to thank you for that. And being that there is no further business of this committee, I would like to call for a motion to adjourn the meeting. Whose turn?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. All in favor? Aye. Thank you for this
Aye.
year's.
Nice job, Chair.
Very much.
8 minutes.
We'll be back in 8 minutes.